Hello, this is Alex Koloskov and welcome to Photigy Studio Photography course. This is a practical part, and on this lesson we'll be shooting cosmetic bottles, which we're going to shoot plastic body, and again everything quite glossy except the top cap. Okay, you see how it reflects everything. And we're going to shoot them on a dark background. And first, before we go and start shooting, let me tell you about the equipment I'm going to use. As promised, it will be the least expensive, the most affordable lighting, and well, almost everything I have, I kind of try to select least expensive stuff. Again, stands, for example, is not the least expensive. The C stands, they're really cool and really useful and easy, and has a lot of nice features, like really heavy to use in studio, but they cost a lot, like $160. You can use any light stand from $15, I think. So stand, it's not a problem. What about the lighting? We're going to use speedlights. Okay, Canon speedlights and those Chinese Yongnuo speedlights. I got two of those. I bought for this course, and I also have two Canon speedlights. Again, I'll be using them exactly the same manner. No ETTL, nothing. The only thing I need from a flash is to have manual mode and to have some kind of slave trigger system built in. For example, there is no such thing for Canons, unfortunately, and it's not cool. So I'll use one Canon connected to a trigger. I'll cover it in a moment. And then two Yongnuo whatever speedlights, which will have built-in slave trigger, optical slave, so they will fire. And I will set them on a manual mode, and I'll be adjusting the power of the strobe manually. Okay, so it will be a similar way that we use monolights or power packs in studio. We adjust each light individually. And well, let's turn on and take a look how I'll be using as an example this non-expensive one. So we turn it on. No, it's hard to do without batteries, right? So I got batteries for this, and I'm also not a big fan of batteries, so I'm trying to use whenever it's possible. I'm trying to use rechargeable batteries, for example, those envelopes, or this envelopes X, which this is 2000 milliamp hours. This is 250, 2500, sorry. So this little bit has a little bit more juice on them, but we're not going to mix. There is no reason to mix this. So we're going to put those things here, right, on our strobe. And like I said, I try to use batteries, but always have a spare pack of regular non-rechargeable batteries, yeah, in case that when my rechargeable batteries are dead. So turn it on. Okay, it's on. It's already on manual mode. You see it has 1/16 of a power, of maximum power, right? And what I'm going to do now is to set it on a slave mode. So I'm clicking S. S1 is the mode where it will fire first time. S2 it's special mode to work with ETTL strobes. So it skips first splash and fires only the second one. But again, we're not going to use ETTL, so it should be S1 for this strobe. And the power, it's easy to adjust, right? This is the maximum, and this is the minimum. let's start from 1/16 power. Again, we will see everything in Studio. We will see how what power needs to be set when we start shooting, of course. Now let's set trigger. For the trigger, I'm going to use again and again. So for trigger, this pocket wizard X. Any trigger will work because we only need this little connector, which goes to strobe connector here, right? Let me make it visible. So this is one of the connectors which strobe may have, so it can be fired with trigger. However, this strobe has a built-in optical slave, so I'm not going to use this strobe to work with our trigger. Instead, I'll be using our Canon speedlight to work with our pocket wizard. I'm going to use Canon speedlight because Canon speedlight doesn't have built-in optical slave, unfortunately. So it can be triggered by other lights. And I'm going to use this little connector to connect it with our pocket wizard, right? Pocket wizard is here, and let's see. I'm turning on our speedlight. Okay, it's on. It's on manual mode, 1/8 of full power, and I'm turning on our pocket wizard, and you see it fires, right? So this is how I'm going to trigger. And another pocket wizard, this one is exactly the same like this, but it will be attached to the camera hot shoe, and it will trigger our system, right? Let me turn on our trigger, and you see it works, right? And it will go right to the camera on top. So this is my setup of triggering strobes. One strobe triggered with pocket wizard, the rest will pick up the light signal, and with built-in optical slaves, they will fire themselves. Those two Chinese strobes. Okay, this is the lighting. Now the camera. I'm going to use Canon 6D. Canon 6D is the least expensive camera I have on my studio, and usually I don't use it for shots in studio. It's more like travel camera for us. But for this particular course, I think it will be a good idea to use least expensive camera, and it's still a really cool camera. It's full frame, awesome camera. If you want to start commercially work, in studio, that's probably one of the best cameras, the least expensive. At least it was a couple years ago. Okay, now we have mirrorless and all that cool cameras, which doesn't cost a lot, has lots of megapixels. But again, I'm not going to talk about them because it's not about cameras. It's all about the lighting. So, camera will be connected to two cables. One cable is a power, okay? I don't use a battery power if it's possible in studio. With speedlights it's not possible. Well, it is possible, there is connector for external power, but we're not going to use it. But camera, I'm using this power adapter. This is Canon. I have another one which twice as cheap and non-Canon brand, work the same thing. And it goes to the camera, right? Well, it's maybe a little bit tricky for... Okay, so camera is connected to external power, and also camera will be connected to a computer. I always should tether it, and it will be USB cable, where is our little USB. Here's our little USB, which goes to the tethered software, and it connects here to our camera, right? It depends on your camera. You may have different connectors, but it should be something which will work on tethered solution. And for tethered solution, I am using Capture One software. It's pretty cool. It's a little bit more expensive than Lightroom. And if you have Lightroom, that's probably the best choice to use it, because it supports shooting tethered. It's really convenient, and it works almost identically as a Capture One. Capture One has a few cool features which Lightroom doesn't have. Like I said, it's a little bit more professional oriented, but there is nothing will stop you to do some beautiful stuff and to work with commercial clients with Lightroom. Okay? And the camera will be set to manual mode. Okay, so I'm setting camera to manual mode, manual exposure, manual focus, manual aperture, manual ISO, everything on manual mode. Here is we have this switch on off focus on the lens. On Nikon it's maybe a little bit different, but usually in Canon it's on the lens, and I set it to manual focus, right? Again, here's a dial which we can use. Let me jump like this so you'll see. You know, I never was showing that kind of details on my courses, but this is level 1 course, so for sure we need to show as much as possible. This is where we select M for manual mode, right? And this is where we see our settings for aperture and the rest of the thing. And as you can see, we have 160 of a second, f5.6. And if I rotate any of these dials, it either change aperture, or this one, if I rotate, it will change shutter speed. And so this is shutter speed actually, and this is aperture. Aperture will be set on the stage when we will start shooting, but shutter speed should be x-sync of your camera. So 160 of a second. Okay, so this is about camera and lighting. How we connect camera to a tripod. Quick connector. For me it's arc Swiss, and I have this focusing rails, which is not needed for this shot, but I always use focusing rails. And then I connect to that large stand you see behind me, that huge studio stand. But you can always use your tripod and the head. And heads, you know, for studio, the best heads is a geared head, like we have here. It's a geared head Manfrotto, but it's quite expensive. If you invest, you better invest to geared head, but any head will work. Probably you may already have something like ball head, right? It's cool, but it's a little bit too flexible, and it's, you know, if you start adjusting it, it may be a little bit tricky to adjust only one axis, right? But it's all possible, and it just will take a little bit more time. So, okay, I think we're done with all this boring stuff. Almost done. Okay. This is what I'll be using as light modifiers, right? It will go here, connected to a strobe, and it can create some nice spot which we'll need. Also, if your strobe has this little diffuser, put it on when working with a softbox, because we're going to use softbox, and use the widest possible angle if your speedlight has adjustable zoom. So this one, for example, 24 millimeters plus this will give 14 millimeters zoom. This is what we need to make it work with this. This is strip box, right? This is strip box. It has this nice connector for speedlights, and I'm going to attach this connector and put head of my speedlight inside, and we need nice and even spread inside the strip box. That's why I'm setting it to wide angle, the zoom head. Okay, zoom head of the lens, of the head. So it goes like this, okay? It goes like this. It can be fixed on this position, and it's ready to go. And this goes somewhere like this. You ready to go? Are you ready? Let's shoot.